Hello and welcome to the 100,000 subscribers Q&A. I'll never get a chance to say that again. I am super grateful. I've got it here. I haven't opened it yet. I don't know how to unbox it in an interesting way. Let me know some comments if you want to. So I'm going to bash through the questions that you've kindly given me. I've already made this video once. It was 37 minutes long. I talk too much, but that's where I name you if you've sent in a question. I'll post that later, but hopefully we can rattle through this one much more quickly. Here we go. Question number 1. Do you like mangoes? Yes, I think I do quite like mangoes. I think they're orange and pulpy and fleshy and juicy. And what could be better than that? It'd be like sucking on a Donald Trump. Oh my God, what a horrible image. Anyway, I would like to suck on a mango, not a Donald Trump. I wouldn't suck on a watermelon because I hate that. I would suck on a melon, but more for a bet. Did I say a melon? No, I meant a lemon. I can't spell, I've got dyslexic fruit. To what extent do GCSE results predict your future success? Well, in some ways, not at all, like nobody asks you for your GCSE results. But in other ways, quite a bit. Because the habits that you learn at GCSE, if you have learnt good habits, will dramatically help you improve at A-level and dramatically help you improve in your career or university and then your career. So it's the habits that make the difference, not the qualification itself. If you've got a low grade, it just means that your habits are rubbish and you better change your habits. It doesn't mean you're done. Because you're watching my channel, therefore you must be a highly motivated and intelligent person. It's obvious. Why is there no foundation in English? Well, there's two answers to this. The nice answer is that we don't want to put a ceiling on you, we don't want to cap you, we don't want to force you to get a lower grade, we want to give you every chance to succeed. That's the answer that I prefer. Sadly, I think the true answer is many English teachers don't think English is about knowledge, it's just about skills, and you can demonstrate skills no matter what the question. And because it's not about knowledge, we can ask people who aren't going to get high grades slightly difficult questions and like, who cares, because it's a skill and they could get there. Well, I don't believe that English is all about skills. I think skills are made up of knowledge, and when you get better at knowledge, you get better at skills. But I would still have just the one paper because I don't want to put a ceiling on anyone, because we're all biased. Everyone carries biases around, whatever they are. And English teachers, despite being some of the most marvellous people in the world, are just human, and they'll have biases, and all sorts of people will get discriminated against for different reasons. And there'll be no discrimination if everyone does the same paper. So that's my answer. What's my favourite movie? I have absolutely no idea. I haven't got a clue. In fact, I'll sit down and watch a film with my wife, 10 minutes in, and she'll say, oh, such and such is going to happen now. And that annoys the hell out of me because she never watches the film. She's there on her laptop doing something else or writing emails, whereas I'm actually watching the film and I've forgotten it, whereas she's absorbed more than I did. She's obviously much more intelligent than I am. This drives me mad. Don't tell anyone that my wife is much cleverer than me. Just like bad news. Don't tell anyone that. I haven't got a favourite film because I can't flipping remember them after I've seen them. My favourite recent film, Elvis. Baz Luhrmann, love that man. Fantastic films. Oh, Elvis, awesome. I've even been to Graceland, and I'm not even an Elvis fan. But anyway, Elvis, watch it if you can. The next question. Can you comprehend what a significant help you've been to this year's GCSE students? And I'm laughing because naturally we all like to think the best of ourselves, don't we? And I get literally hundreds of comments every year that would make me feel brilliant. But I don't rely on comments, I want data, which is why I poll my viewers every year. And 27%, as you probably know if you follow my channel, 27% of viewers go up by at least 3 grades, often 4, sometimes 5. Well, I polled this year and the figures are now 30%. Well, hey, you might think I've got even better. Sadly, I'm still the same because exam results have gone up 4%. So actually, I'm 1% worse. Don't tell anyone. I still reckon 27%, 3 grades or more, due to my videos, is not a bad return. Have you ever considered making A-level literature and language videos? Yes, I'm going to do it. And the way I'm going to do it is this, right? Because not many people watch them. I'm going to have to do them for my own pleasure. So I'm going to start with a book I haven't read them a chapter at a time, and each chapter I'll make a video about what I think about the characters, what my predictions are going to be. And I think that might be quite fun for you, because you'll see how an expert reader approaches a text they don't know. And it'll be really fun for me because it's high risk, isn't it? And there might be loads of stuff I miss. And then I get to the end of the text and it's, oh my God, I didn't spot all this stuff, you idiot, Mr Salles. But it'll be an adventure. Looking forward to making them. So if you've got texts that you want, you know where to put them. What profession would you have chosen if it weren't an English teacher? I would have been a carpenter. I actually gave up teaching after 10 years, long story, and my wife forced me, no, she encouraged me, but she also forced me to come back into teaching. And so I didn't go to my carpentry training course. My whole life could have been different. I could have had a carpentry channel, how to build your own house. That would have been good. Would I change the AQA exam system? Yes, the short answer is yes, 100%. I think the exam that AQA put out, and I'm not blaming them entirely, is rubbish. It's worse than rubbish, it's damaging. What's my proof? English used to be the #1 A-level choice 10 years ago, only 10 years ago. Now, for the first time, it's dropped out of the top 10. It is now the 12th most popular choice. You might say, yes, that's because everyone's worried about their jobs. They're all doing sciences and maths, STEM subjects. But you would be wrong. Yes, STEM subjects have increased, but psychology has gone to #2. Sociology has gone to #5. These are not people who are out to earn lots of money in a career. Very few people do with those qualifications if they took them on for a degree. So what is the answer? We are destroying English language and literature through the way we teach it in schools. That is the subject of another video, but I think as a profession, we are destroying the subject, and the exam board is mostly to blame for that, but the exam board aren't in your school, they aren't in your classroom, they aren't setting your curriculum, and ultimately teachers need to be braver. I'll make a video on how they can do that, and in fact I've written a book, How to Be a Brilliant English Teacher, The Full English, and you can find out how to be a great English teacher who gets great results without ruining the subject. I'll put a picture there somewhere. What's your favourite text to teach? I would love to teach 2 texts. 1, Slaughterhouse 5. It's my favourite novel of all time. It's a fantastic science fiction, love story, war story. It's autobiographical in parts, where Kurt Vonnegut, who wrote it, was a prisoner of war when he was 19, and he was kept in a slaughterhouse, an underground place to slaughter animals in a city called Dresden, which the Allies destroyed in 1945. I mean, they virtually won the war and they killed up to 100,000 people. Over 30,000 is the official estimate. They dropped so many bombs intentionally that it caused a firestorm. Fire raged in from all sides because it got superheated. Oxygen then was sucked in. So there were hardly any survivors because they just breathed in supercharged fiery air, burnt from the inside out, and then they burnt from the outside in. It was appalling, and it's something that we didn't have to do. So it is a war crime, and Kurt Vonnegut is patriotic American, and he tries to come to terms with this war crime by writing this amazing story about Billy Pilgrim, a 19-year-old boy who suddenly gets transported in time within his own lifetime. He can only stay in his own body, so he goes back to visit his birth, he goes back to visit his death, he visits his marriage, his children, all at different points, at different crises in his life. I don't know if I really sold this. There is a starlet called Wild Hack who gets kidnapped by Trafalmadorians, along with Billy Pilgrim. They get put in a zoo and they're forced to have sex. Hey, who hasn't got an imagination? Anyway, fantastic book, love to teach it. The other one is 1984 by George Orwell. It's small, by which I mean it's thin. It's written by George Orwell, who never wastes a word, unlike you, Mr Salles, who chatters on forever. But it's absolutely brilliantly written. It's full of brilliant ideas, which sadly are always relevant because it's always about dictatorship and mind control, social media. Well, read it. It was written in 1948 and it basically predicts our future. Scary stuff, but fantastic. Will we see more videos similar to my What's Wrong with the State of Education? Yes, you will. I'm going to do a collaboration with a YouTuber you might not have met before called Jen Chan, who's really top-notch at getting students top grades. And we're going to look at the exam system and whether it should be replaced. Keep your eye out for that one. And I am going to make that AQA video. I'm going to try and cure AQA. They won't listen to me, of course. I've already written to them and they've said, Mr Salles, we don't have to tell you anything because we're a charity and your freedom of information requests are utterly powerless and irrelevant. Get lost, you irritating little man. Thanks, AQA. Who is my favourite character in Dr. Jekyll and who is my least favourite? For those of you who haven't read it, I'll be brief. My favourite is Hyde, the apparently evil killer in the book, but I question that interpretation. And my least favourite is Utterson, the apparent good guy in the book who actually turns out to be the most hypocritical and well, he doesn't quite steal, he inherits Jekyll's entire fortune, which is a hell of a lot of big bucks. And he does that by controlling the narrative to hide his complicity. And, I love the book. It's, I think, all about repressed homosexuality. I think Stevenson was on the side of a much more liberal idea that homosexuality should be legalised and not penalised. And that's extraordinary if you go back to the 1880s to have that sort of belief. But many of his friends were gay. And actually, once he'd finished writing this novel, he couldn't wait to get away from repressive Britain and went to live in Samoa. Tell me a theory for who the inspector was in An Inspector Calls. Well, I do go for the supernatural idea because I think Priestley is playing with a genre that was introduced by Dickens with A Christmas Carol. In that text, all Dickens' moral messages are carried out by the three ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas yet to come. They are the teachers in the novel in exactly the same way as the inspector is the teacher in this novel. And just like, it's not a novel, it's a play, Miss Salles, very sorry. But just like A Christmas Carol, the inspector disappears in order to allow the characters to learn the lesson. That's what happens in the final stanza of A Christmas Carol. But unlike the Burlings, he does learn his lesson. When did you become an English teacher and why? So I became an English teacher round about 30 years ago, and I did it because I tried primary school teaching. I wasn't cut out for it. I wasn't patient enough. I went off to do an English degree. I had a massive overdraft, so I became a tax inspector because they would put me in Swindon. So no, I wasn't attracted to the magic roundabout and the motorway. I was attracted to my wife, who was a teacher. So I spent 4 years as a tax inspector, getting actually really quite good at investigating people and exposing fraud. But all the time I was socialising with teachers who were having this marvellous time. And I thought, I want a piece of that action. And sadly, my bank account said, well, you'll have to earn only 50% of the money. And I went, oh, take a 50% salary cut to be a teacher? Bargain. So that's how it happened. Would I ever write a fiction book to publish? Yes, if I had the time to just sit down and do it, then I would give it a go. But obviously it would be a first attempt, so it wouldn't be very good. So I've got to weigh up not earning money because I'm writing a book that's not going to be very good because it's my first go versus I'd really like to give it a go. Maybe when I'm 60. My mum's written an autobiography that she didn't quite finish before she died, and I will try and finish that to self-publish. She lived through the Second World War and a lot more. It is the most extraordinary story. It even involves stealing nuclear fuel rods and a £100,000 heist in the 1960s. Yeah, I've got to write that story. What are your opinions on Chinese literature? Well, sadly, I have no knowledge of Chinese literature, so I have no opinions. Now that sounds appalling because a third of the world are Chinese, but I'd also say the same of South American literature and Indian literature. You know, there's vast numbers of brilliant books published every year, and I have no idea how to find them because publishers don't go out of their way to get brilliant translations and then sell them here. If I had loads of money, I would set up my own publishing firm and publish the top 10 best books every year from every country. Why not? That would have to be more fun than buying Chelsea, for example, or Manchester United. Please, can I make a video on Frankenstein? Yes, I'm going to do it like the A-level ones because I've never read Frankenstein, but I know a lot about Mary Shelley. So yes, I'm going to make it, and I'll do it in that same way, a chapter at a time, making predictions that might turn out to be completely and utterly wrong. Ooh, jeopardy. What did I get in my GCSEs? I'm guessing they were all A's and A stars. No, I'm much too old for GCSEs. I took O-levels that went up to A. And actually, I only got one A, which was strangely in history. I got two C's, which was in art and biology, and everything else was a B. And that was decent enough results. It wasn't spectacular, but that's because I didn't know how to revise. I went to 11 different schools as a kid. I didn't enjoy education at all. And I didn't get good at it till I was about 20. So there's always hope. So here's a question. I've got absolutely terrible handwriting and my teachers say they can't read it and the examiner's not going to read it and they're not going to give me a good grade. What should I do? I used to say, learn to write brilliantly and I'd give you lots of handwriting practice. But now I'm kind of against that. I actually think it'd be much more valuable to learn to touch type, and you can probably get assessed if your handwriting is really that badly to have a laptop in the exam. You can learn to touch type 60 words per minute, which is much faster than you can write. It will make you far more efficient. It will make you far more employable. It will make you far more skilled. And not only will you be quicker at answering, you'll have more brain space because you've written stuff to then go back and improve it and get even higher grades. I do not understand why exam boards insist on handwriting. It is going to change, I'm certain, within the next 5 years. It is a dumb idea. The only reason we ever need students to learn to handwrite is so that they can write in an exam. Like, for the rest of their life, they'll never need to do it. So I'm quite happy to get rid of handwriting once you've learned how to do it, because obviously sometimes you're going to need to write on a bit of paper and you want to be legible, but then you can take your time over that because most of the time you're going to type or even dictate. So learn to touch type and pressure your school to let you use a laptop. Forgive or forget? This is a bit of a random question, she says. Well, it's kind of an obvious answer. You don't want to forget stuff because your memories make you who you are. They're your personality. If there was a fire in my house, the first thing, because there's nobody in the house, I should add, the first thing I'd save would be my photo albums. Okay, because they're my memories. Loads of us are like that. You want the things that matter to you, that make you who you are. Can you learn to forgive? Yes, because when you don't forgive, it's an awful effort to keep not forgiving. Takes up loads of mental energy, doesn't make you happy. Learn to forgive. Get over it. Is there a guarantee that by watching my videos you'll get a grade 9? No, there isn't. But you'll stand a much better chance. As you know, 30% of my viewers went up by 3 grades or more. Enough said. I prefer Stacey Reay's presentation. Well, okay, YouTube's a big place and Stacey Reay is a lovely person. I hope you really enjoy her videos. You don't just have to watch one teacher, you can watch loads of us. Or you can just go and watch Stacey Reay, I don't mind. Hello Stacey if you're watching. I want to become a full-time maths YouTuber. Well, you've just got to press record, get started. Where did I go to university? First, I went to Oxford. Now that sounds really good, but it wasn't. It was a teacher training college. It used to get an Oxford degree before I got there, but when I arrived, they said, look, you're letting him in. We're not giving out any more Oxford degrees. I trained for 2 years as a primary school teacher, and it was tough. So then I wrote to all these universities and said, look, I know I only got 2 A-levels, but I've done these 2 years and apparently I'm really good now because I'm over 20 and I've actually worked out what I'm doing. Will you let me do a degree? And Reading said, yes, you can come here. And Leicester said, yes, you can come here. And I preferred Leicester because they had a better rugby team. I don't know. I have no idea why I preferred Leicester. But anyway, off I went and I completed 2 years of an English degree. And it was like a piece of, easy stuff. Because training to be a teacher is tough and you have to write essays like every single week, Whereas you go to university and it's like, oh, read a book, go to a seminar, go to a lecture if you can be bothered, write an essay now and again. I mean, it was a doddle. I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't. It was an absolute doddle. And I had a pretty good time. In fact, I spent most of my time going back to visit my wife somewhere else rather than studying, and I was still able to get a 2-1 no bother at all. And those were the days when 2-1s weren't given out willy-nilly, you know. Sadly, I realised I'd have to work really hard to get a first, and I thought, no, I'm not going to bother with that. So, yeah, I went to university in Leicester, and, oh, God, my daughter went to Loughborough. Oh, my God, it's 20 miles away from Leicester, and I cried when I walked in. Loughborough, utterly amazing. Leicester, still rubbish. So I've spoken super quickly, which means you might slow the video down to follow what's going on, and that will mean I'll get more watch time, which means my channel will get promoted, and I'll never get to 1 million subscribers because there aren't that many people in the world who do English literature or language. Damn, I'll never be famous. Although I did go to the park the other day and I got served by an ex-year 11 kid who said, "Hey, are you Mr Salles?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm like a bit nervous about this." And she said, "Oh, I got a grade 9 because of you. In fact, I got 2 grade 9s. And I only dropped 10 UMS marks across all my papers." And I was like, "Whoa, that's fantastic." And so I said, "You know, can I have a free coffee?" And she said, "Get lost, mate." No, we didn't have that conversation at all. I would never ask for a free coffee. Although if you do see me out and about and you want to buy me a free coffee, that's cool. I like the sound of that. Now, coming up here is the video that my viewers voted as the most helpful of all of last year. Check it out, see if you agree. Open me, Mr Salles, open me.